You heard it coming in, the comments about the starting rotation. What they really didn't do this offseason is the biggest topic of discussion right now. And quite frankly, I could have played something from 2025, 2024, and you wouldn't have even been able to tell the difference. What Mike Elias said yesterday sounded exactly like what we've heard the last couple of years. We like our guys. We've built a quality enough rotation. Could we add somebody in spring, a late addition? Sure, we're always looking. You got to do your due diligence. We're always looking, but nothing ever happens. And I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off today. So we're asking the audience, because basically what Mike Elias said yesterday was, we're happy with the roster as is. And we can roll into opening day with this. So I'm going to take him at that. It's what they've done the last couple of years. And I want to ask the audience, if the Orioles are going into opening day this year with this current roster, no other additions, this is it. That would be blank. Insert the blank there. And for me, instantly comes to mind the first word, unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. Because you set the expectations much higher yourself. This entire offseason, really going back to last regular season, Mike Elias said, I got to right these wrongs of 2025. I've got to make this right. We're going to be aggressive this offseason. We're going to make it happen. We're going to be active in the starting pitcher market. They traded for Shane Baz. He said after they traded for him, we're not done yet. There's still more coming. When they signed Pete Alonso, we're not done yet. Rubenstein said we're not done yet. There's no restrictions here. And yet it appears they're done. So Cordell, we've got a lot to get to here, a lot of comments, more coming from Elias today. But for now, I'm pissed. That's the best way to put it.
I mean, I can't even try to talk you out of it, because I think there is a level of, and this is my word to fill in the blank, disappointing. You know, I think there's a level of disappointment as you go into spring training, because what they tried to sell you on going into the offseason of, you know, we're going out there, we're looking for arms, we want to bolster our rotation. Obviously, the bullpen was a big area of need as well, still is, in my opinion. But I think for the rotation, it was always, we're looking for this frontline starter, right? We're looking to go get this arm. Like you said, even after the Baz trade, which I like, I still like the Shane Baz trade, but I liked it even more at the time when I felt like they're going to go get somebody better than Baz. And I understand that they've got Trevor Rogers already on the roster, who they're hoping to build on what he did last year. You're hoping Kyle Bradish can kind of get back to the Kyle Bradish that we all know and actually can stay healthy. That's the biggest question for him. But the fact that they didn't go out there and do what they made seem like was the number one priority on their offseason list is nothing short of a disappointment. How can it not be? I don't want to sit here and do what I did last year and try to talk myself into believing that this is enough, because we just saw that it's not enough. It's not enough. And I think it is, and it's okay. I said this to you off air, Nolan. I think it would have been received better if Mike Elias had came out yesterday and he's like, you know, I think we made some quality moves this offseason, because they have. And while we weren't able to go and get that frontline starter that we wanted to get this offseason, there's still time. We're just getting into spring training. Like, he wouldn't have been wrong in that, but I think actually acknowledging the failure to this point that is not going to go get that frontline starter is something that people want. People don't want to be made to feel like they're idiots and that we're seeing something totally different from what they're seeing. Sure, this roster has quality pieces. I think the offense has raised its floor. Pitching-wise, somewhat, it depends on health still, but it still should be better. Defensively, I'm concerned about this team defensively. There's no way around that. But I do think it would have gone over better if they would have acknowledged that they didn't get the frontline starter that they wanted to this point. There's no shame in saying we missed out on Farmer. Everybody knew you wanted him, and you didn't get him. And now you're in the same boat with Zach Gallen. If they're just as connected with him as the report said they were about Valdez. So if they don't get Gallen, are you still okay? Are you still okay with what you have? I don't think there's any harm in saying that you want to still improve this roster.
The Orioles going into opening day 2026 with this current roster is blank. You fill in the blank. 410-583-1057. I said unacceptable. Cordell, you said disappointing was the word?
Yeah.
Both appropriate. There's a million different directions there. You don't have to limit it to one word, by the way. If you want to give us a whole spiel, go for it. We want to hear from you. 410-583-1057. And one thing you mentioned there, you said there's still time. And technically, yeah, you're right. And if you're a GM, that's the way you should be operating. But there was another comment from Elias yesterday that we didn't hear in the open. We can hear it a little bit later, where he's asked about, this close to spring training, this close to the regular season, are you kind of apprehensive to sign someone knowing that their ramp up is going to be cut into? And particularly pitching, because we've seen big ticket free agent pitchers. Blake Snell always comes to mind as a recent guy who signed very close to the start of opening day, and it impacted him. It impacted him negatively. So one side of his mouth, Elias is saying, hey, we could still do something. We're not technically done. We're always exploring. And then in the next breath says, well, we're kind of getting close to that deadline. I don't know when the deadline is, but when we get there, we're going to kind of shy away from that because whether it's we're not getting our money's worth, this guy's not ready for opening day, whatever it is, they're not going to do it. So again, more reasons to be pissed off, but let's take a quick look. We'll get a break here soon. We'll hear from everyone that wants to get in, but just on paper, this rotation, because there are some people out there who think the rotation's fine or think that guys are going to exceed expectations or going to bounce back, whatever. But this is your prospective five, and you can order them however you want. Kyle Bradish, Trevor Rogers, Shane Baz, Zach Eflin, Dean Kramer. I can go through each and every one of these guys and pinpoint exactly why I'm concerned about him. Kyle Bradish, for example, love him. I've said before, might be my favorite player on the team. I think his upside, when people say Cy Young, and that I believe the morning show guys said that he'll finish top 5, that wouldn't stun me. And quite frankly, they need it. But that's the problem, is that you need him to be that guy because you didn't get a Framber Valdez. You didn't get a Ranger Suarez. Kyle Bradish, injury related, we know the Tommy John, 71 innings pitched over the last 2 years. So even if he's great, what sort of hiccups are you going to get along the way? Is he going to have a start-stop type of situation where, hey, we got to put this guy, give this guy a little extra rest, keep the bulk of the innings down. Trevor Rogers, like it or not, regression is only natural. Now, to be fair to him, we can live with a little regression here. Innings is also a concern. Only exceeded more than 110 innings pitched twice in his entire career. That's a concern. Shane Baz, what I like about it, you mentioned upside, liked it when it happened. He proved he can throw a bulk of innings after Tommy John last year, but the ERA wasn't great. There were struggles. And he's even a guy who hasn't proved that he can put everything together over a full 162. Zach Eflin's coming off of injury. Dean Kramer, as I go through these 5, the one guy I might feel the most secure in or at least know what I'm getting is Dean Kramer. Right. And he's a 4 or a 5. But Dean Kramer, he's going to start slow. Always does. April. Always. And not just like 4.5, 5 ERA. We're talking 7, 8, God forbid, 9 or 10 ERA. Charlie Morton territory. Yeah. This is not good. And then once you get outside the 5, I know Elias said Brandon Young and Cade Povich, they're here. They're alive. They're fresh, warm bodies, but that's about it. I mean, the more I look at this, the more I examine this, my head is getting twisted into pretzels here. I can't make sense of it at all. But we're going to hear from the people here in a second, but any last thoughts for now?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's the last part for me. I went into, and this is me personally, and maybe this is my own fault, right, for getting my expectations to this point. But I went into this offseason with the idea that the Orioles were going to learn their lesson and they weren't going to be put in a spot to where they needed Brandon Young or they needed Cade Povich to come in and give them to be the back end starter in this rotation for a month or two. Like, why is that the world we're living in right now? I feel like we've seen enough. But I don't need to see Brandon Young start another game for the Orioles. I don't need to see. I know who Cade Povich is. And I don't believe that I'm talking about the Orioles as a true contender if Cade Povich is a part of their rotation. I just don't feel that way. So the fact that we're still bringing up those types of names as candidates for this rotation, and they're one injury away from that being a realization of where they are. That's a problem to me. No, that does not sit well with me. That doesn't make me gain any optimism that this team will be able to improve on what they did last year. And health is a big part of it. There are a lot of ifs across the board. We can go to the rotational guys. They all have questions.